You are now tuned in to another episode of Black Girls Den podcast brought to you by Alieshia's Productions.
Hey homegirls, it's your girl Alieshia. As you can see if you're watching this is a solo episode. So you know it's either a special episode or I got an announcement to make or something, child, okay? So if you have not been keeping up with what's been going on in Black Girls Den, we just wrapped up our series, Small Town Girl with Bigger Dreams. Check that out. We had so many entrepreneurs in Louisville sharing their story about if they should move out their hometown or if they should move to new cities, bigger cities to chase their dreams. I love that series. I thought it was very, very great. But, you know, we have to do new series. So this is a new series that I'm so excited to share with you all. And it is called Finding Your Voice Through Your Passion. And so I had to come and tell y'all what's going on because in the next episode, or the whole series, you're going to see about another 10 women sharing how they found their voice and their passion. And it is very, very, very important to me for women to have a voice, the whole reason of this podcast. So I wanted to come and share how I found my voice. And I wanted to, just get y'all excited for the whole series and everything like that. So I wanted to come in and introduce myself again. If you are new, if you haven't ever heard of me before, hi, my name is Alieshia, and I am the host of Black Girls Den podcast, a podcast where womanhood meets media in all different facets. So yes, I'm going to, share a little bit about myself, and we're going to get into the episode, okay? So this new series, we are talking to women who have found their voice through their passion. And I'm going to be the first one just so, we can introduce the series. So you're not like, what's going on, girl? What's happening? So Alieshia is a podcaster, storyteller, and traveler, the founder and host of Black Girls Den Podcast, a safe space for women chasing their dreams, womanhood, and career. As a small town girl with bigger dreams, I launched a podcast to create a safe space to empower other ambitious women navigating adulthood to share their stories. It's all about storytelling over here. My goal is to remind listeners that they are not alone. So that is kind of why, I want to share these different women's perspectives and, that you have a voice. Some people feel like they don't have a voice, whether you grew up in church or child, even in a Black household, baby, they try to act like you ain't have no voice. You couldn't say anything. You had to stay in a child's place. And so that was a lot as well. So we are reclaiming our voice and we are sharing how our passions have helped us reclaim that voice. So I hope you enjoy this series. If you do, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And also make sure you join us every Wednesday on YouTube at 12 p.m. And audio is about 5 in the morning. If you're up with us that early, that is definitely great. Okay, so yes, let's get into the episode. All right. So the first question is, can you share a little bit about your passion and how that became your voice? Let's get into it. So I feel like I'm passionate about a lot of things. Growing up, I felt like I didn't see much representation of people who looked like me, whether that was on TV or even traveling, whether that was Black women, bigger women, Black people just in general, child. So yeah, I always enjoyed writing when I was younger. I just remember writing stuff, and I was the only girl as well too, right? So I remember just like writing stories about like having siblings or whatever, or having like a big family. Although I did have a big family kind of, I really just kind of like wrote stories in general, like friends, different things like that. Like, I don't even know, I just wrote it, right? And so when I got to college, I had the opportunity to study abroad, but I had never heard about a blog before. I seen somebody start a blog on Facebook. Somebody was talking about a blog, and so then I researched it. I kind of looked to, see like what it was, and I was like, okay, I don't see that many people writing blogs about traveling. Maybe I didn't know that, and also the internet was kind of like, just kind of, I don't want to say just kind of getting big, maybe like blogging and stuff like that was kind of getting big. And so I decided to write about, my study abroad experience. So I created my travel blog, to share my study abroad experience. And through that, I started creating my voice online. I feel like I talked about this a little bit more, but just in another episode, Small Town Girl, Bigger Dreams, and then just sharing my experiences. And I know that representation matters in media and in general. So I'm like, if anybody else is interested in study abroad, they will be able to, kind of come across this and see this. That's kind of what I thought about it. Because even like a lot of my friends that didn't study abroad, you see people study abroad and they talk about it, but a lot of us wasn't really studying abroad. Some of us was. I'm not saying that majority, but over the grand scheme of things, I was like, if I want someone, to look to see what it looks like as a black girl studying abroad, I want them to be able to see that. I didn't really see that too much. Later on, I learned about teaching abroad and stuff like that. So I did kind of see that and stuff like that. But just at the beginning of when I first discovered it. So, do you always feel like your voice mattered, or did it take time to discover it? I don't know if I feel like my voice mattered at all, like growing up, because as in Christian household, black household, it was always stay in the child's place, like you can't speak up or it looks as disrespectful. I don't really agree with that. And it's like I always had to like harbor my feelings and feel like I had to like tone myself down, because like if you say something and it's like, why would you say that, you're just a kid, da da da. So when I got to grad school, I started a podcast called Millennial Thoughts, and I felt like that's when I really discovered my voice and my voice mattered. So it took time. The grad school child, that was when I was about 22. So it took time to figure it out. Of course, like I was saying, like the blogging and stuff like that, kind of online digital, like expressing myself, felt like I had a place to do it. And also, if you think about it, if you're growing up and you're not able to share your voice or different things like that, or people have different perceptions about you or something like that, like sharing your voice online is kind of the only way. Like, people are going to judge you, right? But when you're new, you don't have no followers, nobody really knows you. So I feel like discovering my voice online was great, because like I don't have any sisters, and brothers are different. Like, so it's not like I'm creating this voice, with my sister or something like that. And even with parents, it's kind of a whole different, like they're not your friend or whatever. So it's just like, okay, so I feel like it took time to discover it, but when I started doing stuff online and seeing other things, I feel like I was able to kind of like see my voice matter. Did you grow up in a small town or a big city, and did that help or hinder your voice? I would say I grew up in a small city, and then I moved to a small town in high school. I don't think it did either. Like, it hindered me or it didn't hinder me, or did hinder me, because I grew up traveling a lot. It was more about the way I grew up in my household rather than in the city, because of how I seen things. Different things inspired me growing up. I traveled. I went to Korea when I was in middle school. I went to Paris in high school. I moved, like I said, I moved from Iowa to Kentucky. That was very differently, like a different experience. So I don't think it was my environment outside. I think it was more inside of my household. Was there a time you felt your voice wasn't being heard? How did you overcome that? Multiple times at work. In relationships in my house, I don't really think I have overcame that yet, but I give myself an outlet like this podcast to have my own voice and share my own thoughts and opinions. I feel like when you're at work, your voice doesn't matter, especially if you're not higher up. Like, if you're just like the bottom of the totem pole, they don't care, and that really is frustrating, and you don't really know how to do it. But then it's like, okay, in relationships or friendships, like, that's hard too, if you feel like your voice isn't heard, or kind of what's going on, and how to navigate that space. And then, but it's all from at home. If you feel like your voice isn't heard at home, it's not really hard to it's not really hard to see it in day-to-day time. Like, if your voice was heard at home, it might be harder, but I don't know. I feel like I haven't necessarily overcame it, because I feel like still my voice isn't being heard. Because you can even take it in healthcare in that perspective. Like, when you're like, oh, my body hurts, or like, oh, my this hurt. They're like, okay, this is like, no, this is what's hurting. So even in the healthcare system, like, your voice cannot be heard. It is very triggering. And being a black woman in that space, you can see, maternal healthcare. So I feel like just in general, a lot of our voices don't be heard. And so I feel like it's sad. But that's why having these platforms and things like that, I'm going to say what I got to say, and I'm going to say my opinion, and I'm going to share it like that. And I'm just kind of go about it that way. So hopefully people can hear my voice now. The next question is, did you have any fears or doubts when you started embracing your passion? And I would say I didn't have any fears about starting my digital career journey per se, but along the way, I definitely have doubts. Still to this day, because now it's so hard to grow and like get in front of your audience, like with the way social media works. And now it's a little bit more toxic with people's opinions that are sometimes very negative or even fearful that your content isn't really good enough. So I still go through that now a little bit. And it's just like, what is that fear? Why am I so fearful? I think about that and like trying to chase the creative dream, trying to figure like, I always have fears, and I feel like that's not going to go nowhere, kind of. Or doubts, like, is this really good? Am I good enough for this? Am I able to do this, you know? So I feel like that's just kind of like human nature, and that's kind of where I'm at with that, okay? Were there people or experiences that tried to hold you back, and how did you rise above them? I don't really believe that there was any people that held me back from doing what I wanted to do, but I kind of keep my personal, like, ideas to myself until I'm ready to share, so I don't have to hear other people's opinions, because like I can be so excited about something, and as you've seen probably in my previous episode, people are like, I have so many ideas, I always think about stuff, and I'm always like, oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. So I feel like I don't really share what I want to do all the time, because then people can be like, well, why would you want to do this? And so I don't want to hear that negativity, so I don't really have that many experiences of people trying to hold me back. Usually it's like, okay, when I have an idea and I'm ready to go with it, I'm like, okay, boom. So I've already kind of shared it or put it out there. Now I kind of just share stuff, post it, talk about it. And if it does good, it does good. If it doesn't do good, then it doesn't do good. So I'm just trying different things now. So I don't think that I have people that are holding me back per se, but experiences, I would say, like even trying to do this podcast, something that's holding me back right now is me even recording by myself. But I have to rise above it. As you see, I'm doing it, right? Because I'm recording by myself. But trying to get guests and like trying to meet with people, time management, trying to like, you know, work with people and stuff like that. Those experiences kind of jaded me. People who like, you know, ghost me or don't respond or don't come. Like stuff like that does really kind of, you know, give me like jaded experiences, and so I'm just like, I have to rise above, like I have to do it myself. Like if I'm not gonna get a co-host, or if I'm not gonna have a guest, I have to show up for myself and do this podcast, because this is what I want to do at the end of the day. So that's kind of how I rise above it. Just do it and just keep it moving. Definitely it gets hard, definitely it gets tiring and lonely. It's a lot of work, editing, posting, sharing, like it's so much work, but it's like hopefully this will help me get to my next goal. And that's kind of what I think about. So if you're in this space where you feel like people are experiencing or holding you back, just think about your end goal and be like, how is this going to help me get to my end goal? What am I doing? Is this helping me get to my end goal? You just always have to have it in the back of your mind. How has finding your voice changed the way you show up in your life or community? So I feel like finding my voice has helped me figure out how I even want to show up in my community, what things I want to advocate for, and where I want to put my time and effort in. And it's changed how I showed up in my life through my confidence, networking, and speaking skills. So I'm more confident about myself. I know how to speak. I know how to talk. I'm very articulate. In my day-to-day job, I train people. I talk. I present. So practicing, like when I started, I said I had a podcast called Millennial Thoughts. I was interviewing, I was talking to people, coming up with questions, asking questions, being able to speak, being able to listen, because people always complain about podcast guests, like, you know, interjecting and like not letting their guests speak or whatever. So I feel like literally finding my voice, literally talking, podcasting has helped me show up in the life of like talking to people, asking questions, being inquisitive. People always talk about that, like you ask a lot of questions, it's just like, okay, that's how you get to know people. So I feel like finding my voice is being able to help other people find their voice, and being able to storytell, share things, and like put it out there. So I think that is kind of how it helps me show up in my community. Can you share a moment when embracing your voice led to an unexpected opportunity or breakthrough? Yeah, so if you've been watching me, you knew that I used to live in Atlanta, and I was doing a little bit of blogging when I moved to Atlanta. I was just sharing like, oh, I'm moving to Atlanta, you know, I work at a media company. I'm talking about what to do in Atlanta and stuff like that. Changed my bio and everything. And I was featured in Voyage Atlanta. It was my first digital magazine cover. That was so cool. Well, like, not a cover. A first digital magazine column, I guess. I don't know what to call it. But I was also a speaker at a summit conference about podcasting. And I've been on a couple podcasts as well, too. So if I didn't say, like, hey, I want to do this, like, hey, let me, speak on this podcasting, or let me apply for it. It was like the Create Your Summit. I spoke about podcasting and just being out online. People have seen me about like, oh, you talk about travel, or like, oh, you study abroad, or like, oh, I get messages too about like, oh, can you help me with my podcast, or like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this or whatever. So I feel like me just sharing what I do traveling, people always talk to me and ask me about traveling, and I've been on podcasts about traveling and stuff like that. I even started a podcast for traveling called Mom Voyage the Podcast, and so even seeing that come out, I feel like just sharing it has led to unexpected opportunities that I would never thought about before this, right? So I think that is what I would share about that one. What advice would you give to someone who feels like their voice isn't enough? You have to find something that you are so passionate about, that you are excited to speak or share about, that your doubt won't even make you think that your voice isn't enough. Because it's always, so many times we see people speak up and they don't think people are listening, but so many women want to feel seen and heard. So just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you feel like you are passionate about socks, hands, you got to be so passionate about it that you don't even care that you are scared to talk about it. And I think that will help you, find your voice. And you will feel like it's enough because you're so passionate about it. If you could leave our listeners with one empowering message about finding their voice, what would it be? If you want to share your story, then you already have your voice figured out. You want to share it and who you want to share it with. Then from there, start crafting your narrative, and always remember your voice matters. My whole thing was about changing the narrative. You see so many different things, even in media stream, but even in society, like you see so many things about Black women are this. First of all, we are educated, but you see so much stuff about single mothers. You see so much stuff about ratchet women, stuff like that. And not that I'm saying that that's not true or that's a bad thing, but you see so much stuff from Love and Hip Hop, the fighting, like you see so much negativity about Black women in media. It's like, no, we are changing the narrative. We are entrepreneurs. We are, married. We have children. Like, we travel. Like, Black women are not a monolith. So, like, we are changing the narrative. We write, we have books, we have TV shows, we are not a monolith. So we are changing the narrative as we speak. We not taking care of your people no more. That's just a joke. But yes, so that is the segment. Okay, that's the first segment. And of course, as you know, we always have a little digital dilemma. It's a rapid fire little game for y'all. So this is the next segment. The first is, you need thousands of followers to make a real impact. I think that is a myth. Sharing your voice online can inspire someone you don't even know. That is a fact. You don't have to be perfect to make a real impact online. That is a fact. It's too late to start building your voice online. That is a myth. You have to follow trends to be heard online. This one's kind of tough. I feel like it's a myth/fact. And I only say that to say because, TikTok, stuff like that, you got to do trends and stuff to get your name on. They want people to dance and stuff. That ain't my lane, child, so I can't do that. But, so that's a myth. But it's a fact. If you add your 2 cents to what is trending, you can get heard more, right? But it's a myth because you don't have to be dancing, okay? Social media can be overwhelming, but also offers opportunity. Yes, social media can be overwhelming, so that is a fact, and offer opportunity. 7, it's easy to feel self-doubt when you compare yourself online. That is most definitely a fact. Okay, so that's my digital dilemma. And let me know in the comments what you all think about the digital dilemmas, if you think they are fact or if you think they are myths. Let me know, okay? The last segment I have is the postcard segment. If you could leave our listeners with one empowering message about finding their voice, what would it be? If I could leave one empowering message about finding your voice, I would say literally, you have a voice box, you have a voice. You don't have to find your voice. You have to craft your message. You already have a voice. You just have to be able to know what you want to say. Literally, you're talking, you're having conversation. You can literally craft a message about anything. You already have a voice. You just have to use it. It doesn't have to be on social media. It doesn't have to be online at all. It could be in books. It could be in essays. It could be in the community. Like, you just craft your message. If you're showing up in your community, that's your voice. You're going to show up, right? If you want to be an author, you write your book, you're going to show up in that book. So it doesn't always have to be online. It doesn't always have to be this is a bad example, but it doesn't always have to be a president or a politician. Like, you don't always have to use your voice. You don't always have to speak just to use your voice. You're using your voice in your community. You're using your voice in your impact and your commitment to what you are. If you have books, you don't always have to speak. Like, you don't always have to be, when I'm saying like speak, you don't always have to be like the presenter. You don't always have to be the guest speaker. Like, you don't always have to be even the keynote speaker. Like, you don't always have to do that. People have their voice in the community, i.e. like my dad. He's always in the community. That's his voice. He's showing up. He's going places. But you don't see him being a keynote speaker, or you don't see people always like being the politician who's talking like, go do this or go do that. Like, you don't have to always be seen to have your voice be an impact, I guess is what I'm saying. You don't always have to be speaking. You showing up is still using your voice. You seeing that you want to be committed to community involvement, you're going. That's your voice. You could post stuff. You could share it. You don't always have to talk. So I want y'all to remember that too. I wasn't trying to get on Maya Angelou. I'm just playing. But yeah, so that is our new series, ladies. I hope y'all enjoy this series. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I started yelling because I got excited, but I'm so excited for this series, and I hope you all, gain something from it. I hope you all love it, but also let me know what y'all want next. I'm trying to think of other series to bring onto the podcast. Full transparency, I'm trying to navigate kind of how I want to, prep this new series that I'm having. If I want it to be solo, if I want it to kind of be another thing about TV, but I want y'all input, So let me know in the comments, if it's on Instagram, TikTok, wherever. Let me know what you all want this next series to be after this series. I'm going to be in the comments, so make sure you comment, you like, and subscribe as well, right? But if you have an idea, or if you have any questions, I want to do some Dear Den, listener stories and advice and stuff like that. So let me know. I'm very excited for this, and I hope y'all enjoy this, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye.